I just want to make a couple little points. First of all, did any of you see an article in the New York Times yesterday about there's some farm in, I don't know, Iowa or something like that, and they're actually using the animal droppings and stuff like that to produce methane gas to run the farm? Did you see that? Yeah. Well, I saw that in the DPRK about 20 years ago on a collective farm in the DPRK. They were using methane gas. They had a great big tank that they would put all the waste from the animals, and I think the people too, in, and it would bubble away, and the methane gas would come out, and they ran their tractors, they ran their trucks. I think they cooked on it, whatever. I'm making this point. The point behind all this is that the DPRK has stellar education for the people. Stellar. I mean, I think the people in the DPRK have a higher level of education than almost any country in the world. Certainly, for one, I mean, they're way ahead of countries that would have the same incomes, let's say. So I wanted to say that. And I also wanted to say something about the Children's Palace that that Comrade Sharon mentioned. I went there and I was asking sort of the same kind of questions you were. You know, it's this incredible place that's got every kind of specialized classroom that you can think of, and Olympic-sized swimming pools, and just everything. It's just fabulous, you know. So I said, well, who gets to go? Who are the kids that get to go to this school? So they said, well, when it was first started, it was started as a school for the war orphans, the children who had lost both parents in the war. And then it grew and it grew. And now it's shared by all the schools in Pyongyang. They send children there various days of the week. They come by bus, and they get to use these special facilities. And they just give you a little sense of, you know, the purpose of education and how they look at it. On the question that Fred raised about China and about the sanctions, Sarah, I'm sorry, I was thinking Fred and China. Sarah raised. This is a really important and serious question, because, you know, at the time of the Korean War, a million Chinese fought alongside the Korean people against U.S. imperialism. And the Chinese Communist government saw the war as the U.S. trying to grab all of Korea in order to launch an attack on China itself. So there was, you know, a tremendous commitment. But, you know, things have changed a great deal in China. And it's not just a question of policy, it's a question that there is a whole new set of material relations in China. There are two social systems existing side by side within China. There is the state sector, which is, many people think, is still predominant in the economy, and certainly plays a big role in China's development of a broad planning on many, many levels. We don't feel that there's been a counter-revolution of the type that occurred in the Soviet Union. But we have been following very closely the developing political struggle between diverging tendencies within China, one of which would be to deepen socialism, the other would and do away with privilege, and the other which would be to open the country up to international, you know, totally to international capitalist development. And so up until just this last important vote on sanctions, the U.S. was always predicting that that maybe China was going to vote for sanctions, but it didn't happen. But you can see from this vote how the pressure is being ramped up on China, and how there must be a struggle in China between those who say making concessions to the imperialists is not going to get us anywhere. You think it's going to release some of the pressure on us, the growing military pressure that the U.S. is exerting, but it only whets their appetite. It only makes them go further. And I think that, you know, we're seeing this being played out in a lot of ways, but the vote on Korea was a very big disappointment, that China, and, you know, I mean, Russia is a capitalist country. It's not one that's totally in the same club as the Western imperialists, but it's a capitalist country. It's not going to really oppose U.S. imperialism on a question like Korea. But China, it's another thing, and something that we worry about very much. And we also think it does show, you know, how severe the pressure has become that would push China into doing this. However, I think it also explains, too, why the DPRK has come out even more firmly. Yeah. Because they're saying, we're going to do it without you. We're going to stand up without you, but we're not going to give in. And we think that they're right to do that. And we think that if the U.S. is going to back down at all, it will be because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to try and bring down the solidarity of the Korean people in this struggle.